Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Mike Muldoon podcast. Thanks for joining me. Glad to have you. As always, it's late. I got to get it done tonight. My internet gets turned off tomorrow, not because we didn't pay the bill, but because so much is going on. We're actually moving, and when we're transferring service, I guess they need a 48-hour. I don't get it, don't understand it in this day and age, but apparently it's a 48-hour changeover. But we're going to talk more about that anyway. I'm going to share where I'm at. Like I said, when I started this podcast, it was all about, I didn't want to come from a place of, hey, look how successful I am right now. And let me tell you, I got there. My journey has been along with your journey. You know, if you go back and listen to my podcast, you'll see a lot of things that I've been through, a lot of risks I've taken, and a lot of how it's all worked out. And each time I've made a jump in something, it seems to have just worked out. I'm not saying it's always easy. But you know what? I believe life is about living. It's just not about existing. See, the thing is, you know, we live in a world that glorifies these big wins, right? These breakthroughs, the dramatic transformations, the overnight success stories. But here's I guess you could say, a quieter truth that often gets lost in the noise of real change. You know, it really happens in one sweeping move. I mean, change and moving forward and accomplishing, it happens in these small intentional steps that steps, so late, steps, really when no one's watching, right? It's whether you're staring down a career pivot or, you know, healing from a tough season, maybe it's a sports season, right? I actually coach American football right now, or, you know, trying to write that book, or simply just trying to feel like yourself again. The road ahead can feel overwhelming. And that challenge sometimes looks massive. Maybe your energy feels low. And the question that really echoes in your head is, where do I even start? And my answer is, start small and start now. Look, the answer isn't to climb the whole mountain in one day. It's really to just take one step, just one step. Now, let me tell you about where I'm at, okay? My wife and I have decided we've been playing around with this idea for a little while, but we've decided to open up a coffee shop and a bagel shop in our new town here in England. And we're excited about it, but it wasn't a lifelong dream. We haven't been sitting around going, oh, someday we're going to open that shop and we're going to finally pull a trigger. It was just something we'd always talked about. Wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Well, one day a shop came available. My wife said, oh, we should go look at that shop. And I was like, yeah, we'll go look at the shop. But I don't know if we're going to do this. And lo and behold, here we are. Signed the lease, got the keys, got builders in, got people looking at things, painters, councils, licenses. I mean, there is so much when you're opening up a business. Now, here's the other kicker. I know nothing about coffee shops. I know nothing about bagels shops. I've never worked in a cafe. I think I was fired from a restaurant once before when I was like 17 years old. Did some catering back in the day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blind. I'm not going into this I've been doing the work, the research, the numbers, the vendors, the menus. I mean, I've been really, really involved in looking at all this and educating myself, right, with it all. But the thing of it is it still can seem very, very, difficult if I look at the big picture. Like you always have to have an eye on the future, which is fine. But if I looked at everything, it would be overwhelming. So it's almost like what I have to do is I have to keep my head down and just look at the next step, And as I've been doing that, I've been gaining momentum. I've been gaining traction, and it's becoming more and more into fruition. And we're getting really close, and we're almost there to opening, which is exciting. But again, I've had to take in these sort of like really small steps, real small action, clear choices, one movement at a time forward. Because when I do that, again, I'm gaining traction. And from that traction, again, comes that momentum. And with that momentum really becomes that strength to believe and to keep working on it. And just not that outer kind, right? But, that more deeper kind, that resilience, that confidence, that grip. Now, again, if you've listened to my podcast in the past, I've been through so much that I'm so, I've built up so much more resilience to things that what would bury people and make it seem so insurmountable, I've built up that strength. Because in why all of this is going on, my wife and I have also decided to move. So I'm in the process of moving. I spent my day today, half the day in the shop trying to clean up stuff that the builders have done, get out some stuff that the previous tenant left. And then I came home and I've started packing because we're moving into a new house. So it has been absolutely crazy. But how do I do it? I just keep one step at a time. And this is the goal. If you're trying to change anything in your life, you just have to focus on something. Like you have a goal and you have a vision, but don't try to look at it all at once because it'll seem crazy. See, the thing is, big change, again, just happens in these micro movements. The mountain doesn't get smaller, right? As you start working towards it, you just get stronger, and you do so by doing that kind of movement, right? Not all at once, bit by bit. Now for you, for me right now, it's opening up a business, it's moving, while simultaneously keep in mind, I've got kids, I'm married, I coach American football. I've got a ton, which drives me even more crazier when people tell me they don't have time. They're not married. They don't have, who knows people like this, right? They're not married. They don't have kids. I don't have any time. You have all the time in the world, and I don't care if you work 12 hours a day because you got 12 more hours to get things done. I know there's a lot of people like me, you just gotta, you gotta really, really maximize your time. But let's just say your goal, is something like writing a book or getting healthier, right? Quitting that job that's draining you, or, maybe it's even rebuilding your confidence after some sort of setback, but what if today's job isn't to solve that whole thing? It's just, again, like taking a step, building a business, just one manageable step. Writing a book for you might just be, I just actually wrote a book, right? 5 Basic Keys to Living Successfully in Between. It took me a while. And again, even with that, it was just, let's get a page done a day. But maybe it's 100 words a day. Maybe getting in shape for you is walking 10 minutes and drinking an extra glass of water or leaving your job. Maybe it's just you start updating your resume, reach out to one person in your network. And maybe it's rebuilding after a loss, one deep breath, one kind message. Speak one kind word to yourself. See, small doesn't seem or mean insignificant. Small means doable. And what's doable is what actually gets done, because tiny wins build true strength. I mean, every time you show up, even just a little, you're proving to yourself that you can. You're building trust in your ability to move forward. And that trust becomes the foundation for everything else you do. And again, you don't need to do it all day. Like I said, if I focused on everything, dealing with vendors and builders and all the money I'm spending and councils and governments and hygiene certificates and everything that you need to get, it's insurmountable. So I just have to sit there and focus on one thing at a time. And again, I'm also in the middle of a move with boxes and everything all over. But if I don't, I'd go crazy. And I have to keep reminding myself, I don't have to do it all today. I just need to show up for myself, and you need to show up for yourself, because you're not stuck. That you're still moving right now, even if it's just an inch at a time, you're moving. So I ask you, what's that one step you can take today? Really, just take a breath. Think about it. Like, what's that one small thing? It doesn't have to be flashy, not perfect, just forward. What can you do today? If I was you, I'd write it down, do it, then show up again tomorrow, because that's how change is made. One step, one moment, one act of courage at a time, because you're stronger than you think. And you're just really one step away from proving it. Because like I said, 7 months ago, if you'd have said, Mike, you'd be, opening up a coffee bagel shop, moving houses, doing all this stuff. Oh, by the way, in a foreign country, when you know nothing about this world, I don't know, what are you talking about? But it's amazing when you just slowly start putting yourself towards stuff. You gain strength, confidence, momentum. And then even when you come up and you look at it maybe a little bit sometimes, that it's not as overwhelming. because you start to trust yourself. You start to trust yourself. And when you know what's really happens, you have more control. You have more control of yourself. You have more control of your life. Because again, life is about living. It's not about existing. I've talked about it many times, and I talk about it in my book. Most people are just going through their lives, not even realizing they're on autopilot, wanting to make change, not even realize that change is possible. So here, if you're one of those people, change is possible. You just might have to do it one tiny step at a time. Just start moving towards it, and you'd be surprised how quickly those steps turn into a fast walk, that turn into more of a jog, that eventually turn into a sprint. All right? All right, everybody, that's all I have for you tonight. Sorry if I sound a little hoarse. It is, it's late, and but I promised I'd do whatever I can. I got to get this podcast in every week. I'm trying. I've been consistent now for 100 and something episodes. I haven't missed one. I appreciate you being with me. Share it with your family, your friends. Please, if you're on Spotify, Apple, please just make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach me at Mike Muldoon at MikeMuldoonLC.com. If you think somebody might need some help, send them my way. More than happy to talk to people. I'm not a therapist, though. I'm not a therapist. I'm talking about more for people who just maybe feel stuck in their lives. I can always find time to talk to people. I feel like there's a little bit of a gift, and it's a gift that should be given forward. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being with me. And as always, I got nothing but love for you.